Hey Spring Boot developers, are you looking for a way to add social login to your app quickly and easily? Look no further. In this video, I am going to show you how to use Auth0, a cloud-based authentication provider, to add a full-featured login system to your Spring Boot app in minutes. In this video, I will cover everything you need to know to add social login to your Spring Boot app, including how to create an Auth0 account, how to configure your Spring Boot app to use Auth0 for authentication, how to implement social login so that user can log in with their existing social media accounts. Here is a quick view of what we are building. This is our beautiful homepage. Here is our login button. When clicked, it redirects it to the Auth0 login page. Here we can log in using our Auth0 user email address, or if you wish you can use social login that's supported by Auth0. Here I configured it for Google, Facebook and LinkedIn. But Auth0 supports other variety of service for login. I will show you this later in this video. After successfully login, you will be redirected back to the home page. Here you can see a navigation menu link to the profile page is visible. Only logged in users can view this. You can visit the profile page now. This page provides basic information about the user. I will share all the resources and source code down to the description. Now, ready to add a full-featured logging system to your Spring Boot app with Auth0? Here are the 5 simple steps you need to follow. Create an Auth0 account and register for a new application. Configure your Spring Boot app to use Auth0 for authentication. Add a login link to your application. Implement social login and a logout link to your application. That's it. Once you have followed these 5 steps, you will have fully functional login system in your Spring Boot app. So, without wasting our time, let's dive in. Starting from auth0.com, let's get started by clicking the sign up button here. It will take us to the page where we can register for a new account. You can use your email or one of the social connection they provide to register. I will provide an email for registering a new users. Click continue. It will request you to provide your password. Go ahead and provide this. Click continue. Here select account type. Click next. Auth0 is now creating our account. Please wait for a couple of seconds. Okay. My Auth0 account is ready. It redirects me to the dashboard. Now, let's go to the application over here on the left hand menu. When we click that, we will get a drop down menu. Click application from the drop down menu as well. This is going to show a default application you probably have. I'm going to create a new one by clicking create application. Here you can give your app a name if you want. I'm going with the default. We can choose a regular web application right here and then click create. And now we are on the page of our application and asking what technology are you using for your web app. They have provided various boilerplate codes for your app. Feel free to check by yourself. Go to the settings tab, which is very next to the quick start, and here we got some information that we will need. We will come back here later. Especially domain, client ID and client secret. We will need it later. For the time being, scroll down to the page. When you get down a little bit, you will see the allowed callback URLs field. This is the URL that Auth0 will redirect after successful login. So for now, in your development environment, for Auth0 it will be http localhost port is 8080 login/auth2 code auth0. In the next field, provide the logged out URL. This is the URL where Auth0 will redirect back to after successful logout. Note that this is just your development URL. You need this change to your domain name or whether you are hosting your application. After these are added, scroll all the way down and choose Save Changes. We should get a notification up here that yes, all that has been saved. I'm going to show you both ways how to log in with an email address and social login. At the very first step, let me show you how to do this using an email address. To do that, we need to add a user so that we can log in to the application. For this, click User Management. On the left menu, it will open a drop down. Go to Users. Here you can create a new user by clicking the Create User button. This should open a modal window. Provide your user's email address in the email address field. In the password field, give your password. Repeat the password. Click Create. It will create a new user for our application. You will be able to log in using this newly created user. That is for the configuration for the time being. Now it's time to create our project. We can easily create a Spring Boot project using an online tool called Spring Initializer. Search for Spring Initializer. This should show in your search results. Click on this link, that is start.spring.io. This is our online Spring Initializer tool. This helps us create Spring Boot applications easily. So let's start creating our application. I'm going to create a Maven project and the Spring Boot version will be 3.1.3. In project metadata, give a group name, give an artifact name. This is basically the name of your project. Our packaging will be jar. Now it's time to add dependencies. Click on Add Dependency. A modal should pop up. In search box, you can search for the dependency and select the dependency using your mouse click. You can use your keyboard shortcut Command+B if you are using Mac or Ctrl+B in case you are using Windows to open the modal window for adding dependencies. So let's start adding. First we will need Spring Web. Search for it. Hit enter. It will be added to your dependency list. Now add Thymeleaf. I am adding Thymeleaf because there will be some HTML pages and Thymeleaf is one of the great server-side template engines for Java. Next we need to add the Auth2 client. Spring Boot Auth2. Spring Boot Auth2 client enables Spring Boot application to obtain access token from Auth2 authorization server and use them to access protected resources. Click to generate. You can also use shortcut key Command+Enter on Mac or Ctrl+Enter on Windows. It will generate the project and will start downloading. I want to save it in my project folder. Save. Our download is complete. Open the download folder. This is the zip file that has been downloaded. Extract it. On my Mac, I can simply do this by double clicking on the zip file. Just rearranging the extracted folder. Delete the zip file. I don't need it anymore. It's time to import project into IDE. I'm using IntelliJ IDEA. You can use any IDE that you are comfortable with. Open the project. Let's go to full screen. This is our project folder. Expand it. Go to pom.xml. This POM file contains information about the Maven project, like project name, version, dependencies, and other configuration information. Maven uses this POM file to build the project, run tests, and deploy the project. Now run our application by clicking the play icon here. The application will start running at port 8080. Open the browser. Go to localhost 8080. If everything is okay, then it will show you this login page. This is the default login page provided by Spring Security. The default username for Spring Security is user, and for the password, a random password will be generated by Spring Security. You can get the password from the console. I want to customize this login for our Auth0. Let's make some configuration. Open src, resources, application.properties. Rename it to application.yml. You can use the properties file if you want, but I am more comfortable with YML. Now we need to add some configuration in this file, Let's add Spring Security Auth2 Client Registration Client ID. We can get this client ID from our Auth0 application. Copy it from there. Now we need to add the client secret. We can get it from our Auth0 application page as well. Copy this and paste it in here in our application. Now it's time to add scopes for the application. If you want to know about the supported scopes, copy the domain name from the Auth0 application page. Paste it in your browser's address bar. Then /well-known/openid-configuration. Here you can see the necessary parameters that may be needed. For example, we will need this issuer later. In this case, this is the same as our domain. Here you can see various scopes supported. You can check all of these and experiment with them by yourself. From this list of scopes, I only need OpenID, profile, and email. Now it's time to add our provider information. Backspace a couple of times. Now provide auth0. Spelling of this auth0 must be the same as this auth0 under registration. Also make sure that the provider matches the indentation same as registration. Now user URI, copy domain, add HTTP and paste the copied text here. Now start the application. The application failed to start. Let's check what. The error is unable to resolve the provider. Oh, of course, we need to add HTTPS here. Now run again. Now the application started. Check it in the browser. Here the default form is replaced with this auth link. Click here. It should redirect you to the Auth0 login page. Now, if you want the username and password field in this form, there is a way to configure Spring Security to show the fields as well as the Auth0 login link. Let's make this happen. Expanding our sidebar, creating a new package, name is config, add new class, security config. This is our Spring Security configuration class, so we need to annotate it with add configuration, add enable web security. This enables web security support in a Spring Boot application. To configure our login, we need to create a bean with the return type security filter chain and name it security filter chain. It accepts HTTP security object and name it HTTP. Finally, return to http.build. This throws an exception. Let's add it to our method signature. As I want to add a username and password field, we need to add a form login. Let's tell it to use default login setting by passing the parameter customizer with default. As we are using auth2 protocol for login with auth0, we need to add auth2 login and customizer with default parameter to use default settings. Now start the project and check if it's working. The username and password field is back again. Let's check back the final version of the work again. There will be the home page, which will be accessible by all by default. There will be another page, say the profile page. The user needs to log in to access that page. Even the user will not be able to view the profile menu if he is not logged in. Currently, we have not configured any endpoint for our home page and profile page. So if we want to access it, it shows a white label error. Let's configure it. To do this, we need to create a controller that holds the definition of the endpoint and process the incoming request. Create a new package. I want to give it the name controller. Inside this controller package, add a new class, probably named home controller. We need to mark it at controller annotation. This annotation informs Spring Boot that this class will serve as role of controller. This annotation is used to mark the class as web request handler. Now add get mapping. For the home page, the value will be slash and a method that will be responsible for holding this request. Let's name it home. It returns a string. The string is basically the name of the HTML page that will be responsible for showing the output in the browser. In our case, the index.html page will do that. Please note that we don't need to add this .html here. Only the name of the page index is sufficient. Spring will automatically add .html. Now add another get mapping annotation. This time its value is profile. Create a method, return type string and name it profile. And finally return the HTML page that is going to be rendered in the browser, that is profile. Now it's time to create HTML pages. Go to resources, template, right click, new, HTML file. First one is the index. Repeat the process to create a profile HTML page. Back to index. Give it a title, home. In the body, add the h1 heading, welcome home. Now on the profile page, give it the title profile. In the body, add h1 heading and add some text. Closing the sidebar to make some room. Run the project. Open the browser and try to access it. It's the login page. Try to access the home page. Yes, it's accessible now. For profile, that is also accessible. Now the next part. This profile should not be accessible by default. The user needs to log in to view this page. So let's configure our application to achieve this. Go to the IDE, open security config class. In the security filter chain method, after HTTP, add a dot, authorize HTTP request, inside parentheses, lambda DSA, auth, arrow, auth.request matchers, give root URL as a parameter, dot permit all, again dot any request dot authenticated. What I'm doing here by using this line, we are telling Spring Security that we want to make this root URL accessible for all, and this line says any other request should be authenticated. That's it. This simple task will help us to achieve our goal. Run this project, open browser, reload. See, we are now unable to access the profile page. It's redirect us to login, but if we want to access home, it's okay. Let's try to access the profile page again. It redirects us to the login page. Click the auth link. It redirects us to the auth0 authentication page. Provide username, password. It will ask your permission. It's saying that your application will be able to access your profile and email. I will accept it. It redirects us to our application profile page. Now the page is visible to us. Let's log out. Try to re-access the page. It redirects us to login. Login using auth0. The profile is now accessible again for the logged in user. Now I want to point out a fact here. Let's log out the application again. Try to log in. It's automatically logged me again. it does not redirect me to the auth0. This is because when we log out of the application, it destroys the user session in the application and logs the user out. But it does not send any signal to the auth0 that the user has logged out. This may cause serious security issues. Suppose you just logged out of your application and went for a walk for some time. Someone with bad intention accessed your computer and tried to log in to the application without asking anything to log in. So he will be able to do any evil task he wants. I will show you how to fix this later in this video. For the time being, restart the server, restart the Chrome. Now try to open it in the browser. Go to the login page. Try to log in with auth0. This now redirect us to auth0 login page. This time, let's try to log in using my Google account. I provide my username. Now password. Now it shows me to accept that this app will access my profile and email. Don't worry, it will not get any of your email or personal data. Only your email address and name and some public data will be visible to the auth0. Go ahead and click accept. Now the user is logged in and redirect us to the home page. My profile page is also accessible. Now, this is just a simple home and profile pages with some boring text. Let's give it some style. Open a new tab. Go and search for Bootstrap. It should be first result. Click the link to enter the Bootstrap website. I'm not going to design the whole page from scratch. Rather, I will use an example design provided by Bootstrap. So click on the example. Scroll down. Here you will get some example design examples. Let's choose one. Let's choose the blog template. It will open the blog example page. Right click. View page sources. It will show pages HTML code. Select all the codes and copy them. Now open index.html from resources template. Closing the sidebar. Paste the copied code. To work it properly, we need to make some changes here. First, inside our HTML element, we need to add TimeLeaf namespace attribute, that is xmlns th timeleaf.org. This TimeLeaf namespace is a collection of attributes and elements that can be used to add TimeLeaf functionality to HTML template. This part is important. We have to use it if we want to use TimeLeaf. Now we can use TimeLeaf specific attribute and elements to our template. Remove the script. We don't need it anymore. Now in the style sheet link, we need to change it. Let's add https getbootstrap.com. We need to add this because the style sheet is hosted in this server. Let's check it. Check the HTML source in this server. Click on the style sheet link. It opens the style sheet in the browser. Check the address here. This is the same address that we have provided in our code. Now copy this portion and paste it into other links. Finally, in the source of script tab, start the project, closes this tab, refresh the page. So the page is populated with proper style. Now let's provide a login link. Open the IDE, search for sign up link. Before href, add th. This th:/href is an attribute modifier. Modifier attribute, once processed, it will compute the link URL to be used and set the href attribute to the anchor tag to this URL. Provide the URL of our login, add curly braces, add before it. Now provide our link, that is auth2 authorization auth0. Change the text of anchor tag to login. Restart the server. Check the browser. Here is our login. Click. Here is something wrong. The wrong URL is here as well. I do not have any blog.css. Let's check in the ID. Search for blog.css. So here we need to fix the URL of the style sheet. Paste the link here. This is the same as we pasted before for the style link. Try to restart again. Go to the browser. Update the URL to the home page. Now try to log in. It logged the user and directed back to home page. Let's try to access profile page. It's accessible because the user is logged in. Now make some changes to the home page. I want the button to be logout button after the user has logged in. Let's start changing the HTML. To do this, at the top of the HTML tag, we need another time-lived security namespace. That is XMLNS, SSE, timelived.org, timelived extras spring security 5. This namespace enables us to use some security related tags. Now search for login button. Inside the anchor tag, add this SCC authorize attribute. Not is authenticated. This will check if the user is authenticated. If not authenticated, then it will show this login button. Restart the application. Refresh the page. Check again. It will be logged in by the user and redirected to the home page. Now the login button is not here anymore. Now make some tweaks. Open the ID. Copy this login link. Paste it just below. Update the link. Now the security attribute. Remove this explanation mark. Change the anchor tag to logout. It's time to restart the application. Refresh the browser. Here is our login button. Click login. The user is logged in and redirected. Now login text changed to logout. Now let's do some design changes. First, I will change the color of the logout button. In the navigation bar, I do not need all these menus. I only have a profile page, so after removing all of this, I will add navigation to the profile. Go to the ID, scroll down a little bit. Inside this nav tag, this is our navigation menu. Keep this first one and remove all other items. I want it to be shown only when the user is logged in. Inside the anchor tag and this SSC authorize is authenticated method to check if the user is logged in. Add the link to the profile page. Change anchor text to profile. Restart the application. Open the browser and refresh. Nothing on the menu. Login. Login was successful, so the text of the login button is changed to logout. Also, the profile link is visible. Click on profile. It navigates us to the profile page. It's time to add logout link to the logout button. Open the ID. It's our logout button link. Let's change the button color. Give it a class named button danger. In the step attribute, add the logout link. And the curly bracket, at sign before, inside curly bracket, a logout link. In the main navigation, let's add another menu item for our home page. Duplicate the profile link item. In the first item, remove authorization check. This is the link to the home page and I want it visible all the time. That's why I am removing this security check. Change the link for the home. Also remove active class from both anchor tags. Check the browser. Initially, only the home page link is visible. Login. The login button changed. We can see the color has also been changed. I need the text color to be white. So in the code, in the logout link, add class text white. Restart again. Go to the browser. Here the button color and text changed. The profile link is visible as I am logged in. Now click on the button to log in. Log in again. Click profile. It navigates us to profile page. It's time to configure our profile page. Open home controller. In our profile page, if we want to show authenticated users information, we need to fetch the user information from the session. So we can do this by adding authentication principal in our profile method. Name it ID user. This ID user holds user information claims. By decoding the claims, we can get users data. So add model attribute. Give attribute a name. Let's say profile. For the value ID users.getClaims. This will map the data of user claims to the model attribute. We'll now able to get the data in our ThymeLeaf template. It's time to update the style of our profile page. Copy all of the code from index.html. Paste it to the profile.html. Scroll to the top. Now scrolling down. It's our header portion. Our login button. Navigation section. Here is our main container. Let's remove everything of main container. Now main tag, add container class to it. Add div, add class container, and another div with class empty5 for adding top margin. Add another div with class name container. Inside another div, add class row, align center, profile header. Inside another div with class name call md2, mb3 for bottom margin. Add image tag, source th.src, profile.get. We need to get picture out of profile. Add class rounded circle, image fluid, profile picture. Below this closing div, add another div, class call md, text center, text md left. Is to take th text to get name property from profile. Now the final touch, I will add the logout option. In the controller package, add a new controller named Logout Handler. Mark it with add controller. This Logout Handler class extends security context Logout Handler. The security context Logout Handler is a Spring security tool that logs user out of the Spring security application. Add a private field client registration repository. Name it registration repository. The client registration repository is a Spring security tool that helps you to store and manage information about auth2 clients. A client registration contains information about an auth2 client, such as client ID, client secret, and authorization grant types. Now make this field final. Inject it using the constructor. Okay. Now we need to override the logout method of the security context logout handler. Right click, generate override methods. Select logout method. Click OK. Now we need to build logout URL to log the user out of the auth0 and redirect them to homepage. The URL will look like https, your domain, in this case is our issuer, is our domain, v2, logout, client ID. Here we need to provide our client ID and then return to. We need to provide redirect URL here. Create a variable issuer of type string. Get issuer value from registration repository dot find by registration ID. Our registration ID is auth0. Get provider details dot get configuration metadata, get issuer, cast it with string. Now it's time to get client ID. Create a variable client ID. The value will be registration repository dot find by registration ID auth0, get client ID. Finally, to string, get it using servlet URI component builder dot from current context path dot build, and finally to string. The servlet URI component builder is a Spring Boot tool that helps you build URL in a consistent and efficient way. It can be based to build both absolute and relative URLs. Now create a variable for logout URL of type string equals URI components builder dot from http URL, provide our issuer ID, concate with other parts of the URL, encode, build and expand, pass parameter client ID and return to, transform it to URL string. Now try catch block, inside try block, response dot send redirects, pass the URI. This will send request to auth0 server to log out the user from the cloud server as well. In case of exception, let's print the error. That's it for our logout handler. Now we need to inform Spring Security to use this logout handler for logging the user out. Open security config class, add private field logout handler. Make sure it's imported. Make it final. Inject a dependency using constructor inside security filter chain. Here add method logout. Lambda DSA logout arrow logout dot logout request matchers logout. Add logout handler. Pass our logout handler. Now start the service. Check it to the browser. Login. Here is our profile page. User information is here. Try to log out. Try to log in again. This time we are redirected to auth0 login page. Let's continue with Google. Provide username, password. Next. Successfully logged in and redirected back to the home page. Go to profile, showing my name from my Google account. Log out of the application again. Log in using my email. Here is my profile information from auth0. Let's add another social media login option. Go to auth website, login. In the left sidebar, click on authentication. It will open a drop down. Click on social from drop down. Here you can see active social connection. Here I already have Google Auth 2 connection as I logged in the application using Google previously. Click on create connection button at the top right corner. Here you can see all supported integration. like Facebook, Google, Apple, LinkedIn, GitHub, and many others. Let's try to add Facebook connection. Click on Facebook, click continue. Here come our settings page for Facebook connection. For this we need app ID and app secret. To get this we need to create a Facebook app. Go to developer.facebook.com. Click on login. If you are first time, you need to create a developer account. I am logging in using my ID and password. After you log in, you can go to the My App section. Click on the Create App button in the right upper corner. From the Create App window, choose Other and click Next. From the list of app types, select Consumer App. Click Next. In this window, give your app a name. Your consent screen will display the specified app name when your user tries to log in to your web application. At the bottom, you can choose your optional Meta business account. Click Create App button. In this window, find Facebook login and click Setup. We have nothing to do here. Click on Settings from the left sidebar. Scroll down. Here we need to provide our valid auth redirect URL. For auth 0, it is HTTPS. Then our issuer. I copied it previously from my configuration, so paste it here. /login/callback. That's it. Now click Save Changes. Now click on App Settings in the left sidebar. It will show a drop down. Click on Basic from the drop down list. Here is our app ID. We need it for setting up our integration. Copy it and go to auth 0. Here in Facebook integration settings page, provide this app ID. Now again from Facebook developer portal, copy app secret and paste it to app secret field. Check email. Click Create button. In this window, auth 0 is asking for which app I want to enable my Facebook login. I want it for my app. Turn the switch on. Now back to the social connection. Create new connection. This time let's try to integrate LinkedIn. Click continue. Here again we need to provide our LinkedIn API key and secret key. I want to use the default auth dev keys. If you want to know how to get your own API key, you can check from this link. I would like to check this email. Now go ahead and click Create. Select LinkedIn for your app. Now let's try our Spring application. Click on Login. It redirects us to auth 0 login page. It now shows Facebook and LinkedIn buttons. Let's try to log in using Facebook. Giving my Facebook ID and password. Click Accept. So we are logged in. Go to the profile page. It's now showing my name and profile photo from my Facebook. Log out. Log in again. This time try to log in using LinkedIn. Give LinkedIn username and password. In this window, click Allow. Now click Accept. Redirect it back to our home page. That means user is successfully logged in. Go to profile page. It shows my name and profile from LinkedIn. And with this, my friend, we reached at the end of the tutorial. I'll come back soon with another tutorial. Till then, keep coding, keep exploring. Bye bye.